got it.
Hello, one and all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown, and with me for the very first time is our prolific producer. Say hi, prolific producer.
Do I have to talk that fast?
No, of course not.
Thank goodness.
But it is exciting. You're the first person I've had on that sounds like Brennan Lee Mulligan. Because I haven't had him on yet. But like it's
Jordan,
we're close.
There are commenters, there are fans that have literally challenged my existence.
I'm really excited for like a week or two from now when all of us sit down together and I can point at the screen and be like, they're two different people. Yes. I will say, the first time I heard your voice, I did think it was Brennan doing a bit for I don't
disagree. I listened to that first chat show we did for Worlds, and I agree. Neither of us we've been friends for years and years and years. We've never realized that we sound almost identical to each other.
Yeah, it was. I was like, it's a weird bit Brennan's doing, and it's going on for a while.
40 years.
Yeah. Oh, Taylor, thank you so much.
He's right here. He's got his hand up all the way up my ass.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Well, I want to start with, obviously, such an important question. What in your skills as a background as a nanny has helped you the most in dealing with these players?
Look,
or would it be easier to list the things that haven't helped?
Always have a snack or know where a snack is.
Oh, right? That's a good one. Yeah.
Keep everybody hydrated. Don't stigmatize pooping, because if the kids are scared to poop, they will get constipated and their mood goes real bad. Always have, instead of asking open-ended questions, ask questions with options they can choose from. And just be prepared to behave and love openly with grace and forgiveness. That's
amazing.
Producing
so
101.
Oh man, this is so exciting! Yeah, you just finished Camp 4, right?
Yes.
Which is
no, we've had many more than 4 camps, but
Camp Arc 4, Camp 4, Arc 4, right?
Yeah, so we're 2 camps deep into Arc 4.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming everybody knows what arcs and camps are.
I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
But they can figure it out. It's not hard, right? Arcs, I feel like they should get, but like camps, maybe they might need some help on. If they're not on the fireside, which if you're not on the fireside, what are you doing? How are you here and not on the fireside? Get on the fireside.
Get on the fireside. We record in batches. I fly out to I'm in beautiful, historic Bushwick, Brooklyn. And I fly out to Los Angeles. We get a little Airbnb house. I build a recording studio in one of the bedrooms, and we record 2-3 episodes a day for several days in a row, and we call that camp. And so I just got back from LA. We just had our second camp deep into Arc 4, the 4th season of the show.
Yeah, I'm so excited. God, Worlds. Wizard Wish in the Wild one is obviously like amazing. All of Worlds Beyond Number, everything that has come out of Worlds Beyond Number is so special.
Thank you.
I just I'm gonna don't tell Erica I said this, because I'm using it next week or whenever we're talking. But
sure.
Good God, the a county affair. It's like it's the most joyful thing I've ever experienced. Like I can't believe how much fun that was. And I'm so excited that they're GMing a one-shot in Umora, which is on the most recent Fireside. I have I guess I have some insider info, but that is not insider info. That was on the Fireside. But yeah, I'm so excited to hear them GM again, because it's just, they're so much fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. There wasn't a question in there. It's just, I love what you do, man. It's great.
Thank you. I agree. It rules. I love it very much. Yeah, we have Erica GM'd a very extremely adorable. It almost feels like I don't want to say too much, but it feels like a special episode of a sitcom, like a holiday themed episode of a show. Very much. It's a very slice of life with a tinge of the season to it. That's all I'll say.
I love that. We're also getting some other stuff, and this won't be out until next week. So the first thing should have dropped, because it should drop next Tuesday, right? The first interlude chapter. That comes out like you come out like weekly, right? Like you know that, don't you?
I gotta go.
But yeah, we're getting like more tales from Umora, and from
Is
what
that next week?
Right, the Fireside was this week. I don't know what comes out next week.
Next week we're releasing our the week this comes out. We either have or will just be going to have released the season-wide, the arc-wide talk.
Got it.
A public conversation about the whole arc, the whole witches. Yes. Season of the Witch. Yeah.
My God, and then okay, then we'll get into the tales across Umora.
Yes.
From what I have heard, slightly different vibe than 12 Brooks. Not getting into any spoilers or anything, but would you say that that's a fair assessment of the next little bit?
Yeah, I would say that there are a lot more wet slapping sounds in this one.
I can't wait.
Teased enough?
Yeah, that's it. Who isn't? Get to the Fireside so you can hear wet slapping sounds. I have so many things that I want to talk to you about. I do like. God, all of it's been so good, and we have only talked now. I mean, we talked a bunch. We met at Gen Con, and it was delightful. And I just want to say this.
Yes.
There were a lot of people at Gen Con that wanted your time. And at no
Idiots.
point... At no point did I feel like I wasn't involved in a conversation if you were standing next to me. You were so thoughtful and kind to like turn and redirect to like pull me back into a conversation when it was, I don't want to say clear that I was not the priority of the other person in the conversation or other people. It happened more than once. But like you were so kind to be like, and Jordan, what do you think? Kind of questions, like redirecting to be like, you're also here and a part of this. And I just want to say thank you. That was super kind and I appreciate it.
Oh, that's very sweet. I events like that, people get very like sort of singularly minded, and they might not know that they are sitting next to a popular actual play journalist. So it's a warning to them and biz dev for you. And you're welcome.
I appreciate it. But all right, into the actual show, Rain Road. And I say this with every ounce of love in my heart. Not since Emily Axford's One Big Bed has a song in a TTRPG like broken my heart in such a beautiful way of just like, it was like a revelation of like, oh, this is what the form can be. Like this is like as good as it can get. Just walk me through it. Walk me through Rain Road. What happened? How did you create magic?
Right. So in recording that scene, Brennan just said the actual raw audio is the locals break into an old song about the great spirits nearby. And then the scene just kept going and moved on. And then we had talked a little bit at some meetings and creative meetings and stuff like that, where he's like, yeah, it could be cool if we had like some kind of song there. It's like, yeah, all right. I hear you. Yeah. Hard though. I haven't written music for the show with words or like actual structure, like a folk song might have. And so in producing the episode, you get to the moment you're like, what am I going to do here? And I realized it's a huge opportunity to do something really fun and big. And so wrote the song, got Brennan to work with me on the lyrics, and then just produced it and dropped it in, which was great because the cast had not heard it.
Right.
I had been sending Brennan like a little some hints and things of like, here's how it's going to go. And obviously he had heard the music because somewhere there exists, and I swear to God, if someone ever turns this against me, somewhere there exists like an exchange of voicemails or voice texts of me and Brennan singing the song back and forth to each other, trying to get like the scansion right of the lyrics. And if it ever surfaces, I'm fucking out of here. I'm toast. And it's as simple as that. It was as simple as that. Like, but one of the things that's cool about making this sort of thing is someone can just have a throwaway line, a throwaway idea, and then when it actually comes time for me to like make it real, for me to bring it into the world, it ends up being much bigger in experience and the weight of the reality of it than just the throwaway line could have seen. Very, very cool. It's that happens a lot in the show, a lot with world building or background details. One of my favorite sequences is when in Arc 2, when we're seeing the Citadel for the first time and they're getting a tour of all this stuff. Brennan says, "Oh yeah, there's these cranes that move the shops around like they're, container houses." Like, very easy to say, but then you have to actually instantiate it into an experience people can have, and so it feels bigger and much more alive than just the prose might at first make you think it's going to be. And that song is an example number one.
Yeah, it's so magic. You mentioned in there the cast hadn't heard it, and we're just going to jump all around because that's
Sure.
the vibe I have. Speaking of things the cast hadn't heard, Taylor Moore, a post-credit scene in Arc 3. What the? I love that. It was. Oh God, I'm not going to remember his name now. It was Neil Diamond. How could I forget Neil Diamond? It was Neil Diamond who was like, saw it in like the Patreon comments or whatever that was like post-credit scene. He's like, post-credit scene, and like had to go check it out. Walk me through that magic and how excited you were that you knew your players hadn't heard it yet.
Brennan and I have been dying to do that scene for a long, long time. Now, we had the idea for it way back at the beginning of the arc. But there's a character choice halfway through the season where if it goes one way, we don't get to do the scene. If it goes the other way,
like, at this point, full spoilers for Arc 3.
We're full spoilers.
Yeah.
All right, great. So obviously, if Ursulon had taken up the sword of the King of Night, we would not have done the scene. But
because he wouldn't have the sword anymore.
Well, the prophecy would be fulfilled.
Yeah.
The prophecy that the King of Night was given would be fulfilled. He has the son of the bear with the whatever insane details the hawthorn tree on the shield.
Yes. Yeah.
And our concern was that the King of Night would say the prophecy and the audience would get it. We thought that this happens a lot. Like, it's so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd will immediately get onto it and will be busted. No one, I think I saw one comment on some forum somewhere. It kind of slipped under the radar. And so they're like, hell yes, now we get to do it. So we sneak away to a Zoom call and lay down this fantastic scene. And this is Brennan came up, we were pitching this scene back and forth for an hour plus because there's so many different things we wanted to do. And there was some things that we were very excited about, but then we decided, no, that shouldn't be in a post-credit scene. That should happen with the players at the table. Things that have great emotional resonance that might happen in the future. So we came up with the idea of telling that story through the eyes of a stranger who sort of wanders into the situation. Very fun. Yeah. I love messing with the credits. Anytime I get to play around with the credits, that's a lot of fun for me. I love it.
It was such a delight. I was really excited. Did I travel? I don't know how I caught up. Somehow I caught up on Worlds Beyond Number because I'd fallen behind. And then I was like, all right, like day that came out, I was like, I'm ready. I'm here. I saw there's 10 minutes left. The credits are rolling. That's weird. And I believe I texted you immediately. I don't know if I dropped obscenities. I certainly thought them.
I got a lot of texts that day. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
you're not the only one that texts me single swear words.
Yes. So good. I also realized we're like 15 minutes into this, and I haven't asked you what you do for Worlds Beyond Number. Look, I'm not good at this, but what is a producer? What does a producer do?
Oh, listen, that's a long conversation. Everyone you talk to has a different definition of the word producer. My name is Taylor Moore. Hello. I am the producer of Worlds Beyond Number. I'm sort of like an assistant writer or pitcher or friend in the room, a sounding board to Brennan in private about story. I'm there. I'm engineered the recording sessions. I do a lot of design now. I oversee a lot of the design with our fantastic editor Jared Olson, and I compose all the music for the show, or I make all the music for the show. Some of the music for the show is old folk tunes, and we got one Holst in there. But yeah, I oversee pretty much everything that doesn't happen at the table.
Amazing. Yeah, I speaking of music, we got guitar this time.
Buddy, let me tell you, I'm so fucking pumped. I'm so excited. I love that scene so much. So I get to know a lot of the show before it happens, because I get to be Brennan's sounding board for story stuff. But obviously some stuff he does not tell me, and some stuff happens organically at the table that I could never predict or understand. And Tefmet the Antivolist opening up this new physical setting called the Free Roads somewhere in the world of Umora. That was a total surprise for me. I love it. I am so excited. I very much hope, so hope the gang and Lou uses that magic train ticket to go to this place, because I would love to write more guitar music.
Yeah. It's a magic train ticket. They gotta go. Yeah, I mean, look, they talked about it in the fireside. They're like, screw Silver, let's go right now to the train.
I know. The Antivolist, the library, the Library of Noir, right? The fact that there's trains in this world is,
I know.
Like, for me, I'm jumping up and down screaming. That's a fun fucking reveal.
Yeah.
I love that. And that there is this new place that we've never heard of before called the Free Roads, where there are apparently trains and big secret hidden libraries. And that's what they're called in the world.
Yeah.
You have to say library.
That's canon. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm so excited. I love it. And yes, and so that's the first guitar you hear in the show, because if we ever go to the Free Roads again, you'll be hearing more.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, I am actually really curious about that. Like, your thought process in terms of choosing instruments for things. Is it just like a gut feel? Like, how do you? Because you nail it every time. And it's, we talked about this at Gen Con, but like, it's a thing I often don't catch because I don't have the ear for it. And you also mentioned, like, it would be bad if every time you were like, I'm not listening to the story anymore. Like, sometimes you want it to just be like in the background. But you know, like playing, what was it? Citadel instruments, but in like the minor key or whatever it was, like that, those kinds of like thoughts. Stop. What are you doing?
Jordan, I'm just trying to tell a dang story. That's all we're doing here. That's what it all is. Like, anyone can go to epidemicsounds.org and have very beautiful, great music. There's a ton of public domain stuff out there. There's a lot of options. But we made the choice early on. It was fundamental to the pitch. I mean, we knew this before we'd even decided I was going to make the show with the cast, that the music had to be original. If you're aiming high story wise, every element of the work should reinforce the themes and the story and the characters of what you're hearing. Everything has to work together. If you're going to make a big swing, everything has to touch on something or themes or ideas, characters in some way. And the only way to do that is with original score. And so when we think about how to score the show, it's always, where are we? Who is there? What faction are we talking about? Who's in control? Who do I want to remind the listener of, either overtly or subconsciously? And it's tricky too, because we shoot for these big cinematic scores, but we put out 2 episodes a month. So it's very much like putting out 2 movies a month. Sound-wise, and to manage all those things, but also keep it fresh so that you're not sick of hearing something either in the moment or like, oh, this bit again, means writing a lot of new stuff all the time. Most TV shows, you sort of have a palette of cues and sounds, and that sort of gets chopped up and used forever throughout the season. There's so much going on in Worlds Beyond Number. We really have to add a lot of new music in every episode. And the question of how to write, what to write, is always who's around, what part of the story do we want people focusing on. And it's not all like emotional. Some of it is very like practical. Wizards well, the Citadel at least, very militaristic. And I talked with Abria before the show ever launched about the sound, and we were both thinking like military, specifically college and high school marching bands, right? Those like very loud, traditional marching drums, big, loud, breaking, big, fortissimo brass, just like blaring. Gives you that sense of scale and aggression, but also regimented, orderly stuff. That's the Citadel. Meanwhile, the witches are all strings, right? And Ame, especially in the early days, is very pizzicato strings, because I was there's a scene early where Grandma Wren is like cooking. And if you think about cooking, and also like witches always gathering herbs, right? And which is very like plucking motion. There's always this sort of like, oh, a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this. And that's the same motion you do when you play pizzicato strings. Pizzicato, and strings in general are where that bow meets the instrument in the way that witches are the bridge of two worlds. They're always sort of these two things connecting at once. And the spirit world is breath, flutes, reeds, saxophones, all that sort of stuff. Leather drums, stone drums. There's this great instrument that we use for Toph in the Witches season, Arc 3, and was also used in the spirit world before Ursulon ever came through the Door of Ivy. That they're called Skidah stones, and they're these tonal rocks that are mined from this hill in England, and you come out and they're stones, they're rocks from the mountain, and they each have a pitch, and you can build a keyboard out of it and play actual rocks for the spirits and things like that. So yeah, that's just a little bit of the way we think about scoring the show.
I don't understand how your brain works. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
I did it.
That's remarkable. Yeah, I'm also curious, I guess then, like, the breath thing felt like Lou found that in the moment, describing his magic of, like, because, like, Brennan was like, what does it look like when you, like, access your magic? And Lou was like, it's my breath, not like an outward sign. Was that already in your head, or did that, like, especially influence when Lou suddenly, like, or I don't know, maybe that was, like, the plan all along, but...
Well, I mean, the concept of breath and air associated with the spirit is, as far as I know, like so fundamental and basic that it like pervades all language and theology and mythology. I mean, like whiskey. The word whiskey comes from the reason we call booze spirits, right? And whiskey and poutine, like the water of life. This confluence of the idea of the breath and the life and the vapor. All these things are connected. And, the man in black has held his breath. What does that mean? I cannot say. Lou finds his breath. So the idea of like spirit being the concept of spirit being expressed as breath, certainly not new. We did not come up with that. In several languages, those words are the same thing. Understandable. And so this is an example of like when you're playing around with these archetypes and these fantasy mythological worlds, you are never really making anything new. You're always reorganizing and re-expressing and reforming these ancient concepts that are much bigger than us and anything we can make, and they've been around forever and they'll be around long after we're gone. And that idea of like the breath, the wind, the spirit, that's so old it might as well be alien.
It works. See, it works so well both in terms of music and
it's great. I mean, look, you gotta turn yourself into an antenna for God, man. You understand what I'm telling you here? It's the divine moving through us.
Yeah. Look, that just makes sense to me. Look, let's change tactics really very like a hard right turn.
And that's just where you start yelling at me.
I've heard Abria in a live actual play. How hard is it to edit out the wheeze laughter that comes out of her body involuntarily?
It's difficult, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
No, I do not edit out a lot of Abria laughter. If there's a big moment where the gang bursts or like someone really gets tickled and laugh, that always stays in. almost always. There've been a few times where someone has like done something and then like made a like a pop culture aside or something, you know, something that feels very modern and out of the story that might get some laughs every once in a while. This is not common. That I think I'll edit out. But if something happens in the story with the character or the mechanics that's very funny, that stays in. That's part of the magic of the show.
Yeah, I just having heard her like that. It's like a smoker's cough of laughter, in the best way. But I was just like, I heard when I was at a live show with her, and like I heard it, and I was like, that's gotta be hard to edit around. And I know like she and Erica both have a tendency to scream in delight, which also has to be difficult.
I like it. So it used to be they would scream and peek the mic, but now my new recording setup, there's no peeking. There's no peeking at all, so they can scream all the hell they want. I love it. It's going in.
Great, I love that.
Yeah. We had a. I will tell you this. This last weekend, recording our camp for episode 4, we recorded a run of episodes that I think is maybe the best we've ever done, like on par with the best. There's just a run of just like 3 major episodes that are it's the turn of the whole arc. It's like one of the big plot moments with the story, and there was a reveal, and there was 30 seconds of screaming. 30 seconds of screaming. I promise I will try and leave some in the episode when it comes, but
Release
I probably
the
will not put
cut.
I will not put in the full 30 seconds of screaming.
Look, the fact that you have just said that means your comments now. I'm gonna release that, obviously, that clip, and all the comments are gonna be like, give us the scream cut, you coward. Like, I think you're right, but the people will demand 30 seconds of screaming. That's so good, because Arc 3 had, like, it's all been great, right? Like, but I think it's episode 32. I was listening in the car, and I punched my middle console. It's the vote. Yeah. I punched my middle console, and I think I was like, "Motherfucker, let's go!" Like I was so amped about it, because I think it was literally like when, I think it's when Ame enters, and you find out that she has changed so many minds in one evening. I was just like, oh, it's so good. The reveal that Ame has won, to like, I understand that they're fictional characters, but like the reveal that Ame has won is just like, it's such a satisfying moment as a listener to be like, yeah, she got you, Indri. Like, she got you. Like, you've lost. It was just
a great moment. It's a great moment, and it's a beautiful moment. And Brennan, God damn it, he's so good. Like, you don't see that moment coming because it happens over like 6 episodes,
right?
That all occur within 12 hours.
Yeah.
That, you know, but yes, like, she's winning hearts and minds. This is what you don't do. If you got an organizer and you're trying to beat them, you don't let them have one-on-one conversations with anyone, because they will organize those motherfuckers. They will bring them onto the same page. And it was a fantastic moment to have that. It's this great thing that good stories do, where something's changing, but you don't realize it until it has turned a point, and you're like, oh, that's right. We do, yes.
Yeah.
There's so many great moments in movies where, you know, the final climax is happening. It's like, yeah, I'd be beat, except for all these wonderful friends and things I gained along the road of trials. It's fantastic.
It's so good. One of the other things that I loved in The Witches is just, it's all you. It's taking Brennan from saying like, and then Hakea says, and then Indri says, and you cut all of those because you have given us the richest, most beautiful sounds on top of Brennan to give us those, like each witch to have their own. Obviously, they've got their own personality, but now their own voice as well. There wasn't a question there either, but like, God damn it.
I know what you mean, and that comes from our very firm belief that like you should use the mechanics of the medium that you're in. You know, I get so bummed out when I see like a new animated movie or animated show that don't use the elasticity and like incredible infinite potential of animation. It's just people in a house. At least Family Guy had a couple of chicken fights. You know what I'm talking about? And so like we're in audio. Use audio to tell the story. And so when someone's Brennan, God bless him, this arc, so many conversations that threaten to become Brennan playing 6 characters talking to themselves, right? This is a scene where you have a PC at the table with a council of people all played by the game master. Very difficult for any game master or dungeon master to make that compelling, especially in audio when we don't have visual cues. So, easy decision. You take each speaker and place them in a different spot within the audio field. Some completely to the right, some the left, various throughout. And even if the listener doesn't consciously understand that that's happening, you got to think that subconsciously in their brain, you're kind of helping them, giving the helping hand to differentiate between speakers. Some speakers have a different effect applied to their voice. And of course, Brennan's performance helps a lot. He is great at, just small little vocal and performance changes that cue you into not only who a character is, but lets you follow that character across multiple conversations hourly. And so, yeah, that's all it was. Just, we are in audio. Use audio to make things seamless. Use it to help the players. Use it to help the listener.
Yeah. It made for such magic listening to it. Who's your favorite witch?
I'm a big Umora stan.
Okay.
I think she is correct. I think she is right. And I think she's hot. And I want to find out more about her.
That's fair.
But also, would not say no to any witch.
Right.
I'm down to clown. They're all pretty great.
Yeah, they're all great. I fell in love with Grimoire because it was so different than anything I'd ever heard of. Just like, hey, what if she gonna pop a wizard like a Capri Sun? And I was like, holy shit! Like it was like listening to the whole witches arc. I kept having to pause to be like, okay, when I introduce the Witches Coven in my game, how am I going to properly steal from all of this? Because it is so good across the board. It's magic. And like you mentioned, I think one of the like we talked about, arc 1 being all level 1 is I think really an impressive feat to make it epic and not a grind, but Arc 3 to be 48 hours at WitchCon, and to make it not be it's what 14 episodes and it's not a dungeon crawl where an episode's 5 hours or 2 episodes are split over one fight with the dragon. It is there's almost no combat. It's all just hey, a lot happens. It's remarkable how different this story is. As someone that's helping with story editing, where are your hands in that, in terms of building that out?
My hands were at the beginning of this arc saying wait a minute, go back. Brennan, you're telling me this whole arc is going to be 3 days of real time? I was terrified. I wouldn't say I was a skeptic, but I was concerned. And I think I even said some stuff publicly. I was like, this next arc is going to be challenging to some people. Stick with us. Completely unnecessary. It flowed great. Everything was fantastic. But I was really worried. I was like, people aren't going to feel that enough's happening. But when something monumental happens every hour, I mean, listen, we've all had 3-day swings like this. I have had weekends where 10 years happen. And there's definitely enough in that weekend to make multiple movies. It happened. That's the way it goes. The pacing was extraordinary because going into it, I thought it was a challenge, but everyone just made it sing. I didn't feel bored for 1 minute because, as much as I work on the show, I am the first listener. I am the first fan. I am the first person to hear this thing get made at the table. And so I'm always worried, what's going to happen downstream? Have people hear this? Because, I personally do not have enough control. That is a decision that happens at the table. These big sequence of events, the pacing of many of these things, how long things take, that runs almost entirely on the very good machinery of the hearts and minds of the players. And at first I was very nervous, but then once we get into it, once Ursulon gets sucked back into that basket lady, oh shit, come on.
Oh yeah,
that's good stuff.
Wild. That was I was just it was one of those things where you're listening to it and you're like, I mean, it can't just go fine, right? Like, there's got to be something that's going to happen.
Of course.
Because they're so drunk, and it's like, oh, yeah, but
yeah, Brennan's not going to let these hot spirits have an orgy with no punishment.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be it was almost a bloodbath.
Yeah,
if the heroes had not come in to run and save.
I mean, I think literally a bloodbath. There was a decapitated head in the bath.
In the bath, it was a blood. Wow, we should have, missed opportunities.
Yeah.
But I will say this, because you mentioned that, like, Arc 1 being on level 1. I hope listeners understand now, levels don't matter.
Yeah.
Levels just really do not matter. You can have a giant, epic, incredible, dramatic, mythological, giant adventure having, believe it or not, no magical powers at all. This, like, you look at fiction, what level was Han Solo? What level was Pippi Longstocking? Kids' book. I mean, read anything. What level were the Pevensey children when they went through the wardrobe into Narnia? You don't need levels for that shit. The story magic doesn't care what level you are at all.
Yeah, I think the issue I have with it is 5e specifically. Like, the level 1 folks are so, like, squishy. It feels like at any moment,
but they
if
can
there's
still
like,
make decisions.
Yes, and that's the thing that I think you all did so well, is that you didn't. I think because so many actual play rely on combat as, like, the driving, like, moment of action, to be like, oh yeah, we're actually gonna, like, eschew combat a bit and just, like, really, like, focus on decision making for our characters, made it such a different feel to it. And yeah, like you hear all the time where someone is like, yeah, my character was, like, this legendary hero and they killed a dragon and I'm level 1. It's like, but wait, how? And for these characters, like, because, I mean, obviously you have 3 of the most brilliant, like, players and one of the most brilliant TMs of all time. Like, it's much easier because you're like, yeah, like, you get.
I'd say Brennan's in the top 100.
Top 100, yeah. I'd say, yeah. Like, he's pretty good. I think he'll find his footing in this Arc 4.
He's really coming into his time, I think.
Yeah. It all works so well. Is the whole thing.
What we did, I mean, what Brennan did was very simple. What these people understood, what the cast understood immediately was, okay, great. We don't have a player that can raise a mountain from the ground. We don't have a player that can have a wish granted whenever they want. And so how do you make their lives interesting? You put them in incredible circumstance. And in this case, these characters each come with an incredible circumstance. Ame has inherited this station that she doesn't understand, that seems to be powerful, but in what way? It's very unclear, and she loses all this memory of it. Like, Suvi has been born to the men are born, as they say. She has been lifted up and is now the apprentice and the adopted daughter of these extremely high status people in the Imperial Corps, very high status place. So, and of course, Ursulon, the son of a great spirit, now way-shadowed and cast out. So these characters came built in with high-stakes circumstance that has nothing to do with their level. And I would recommend it if people want to make a show like that, or do it in a home game even, you can use those tricks. You can have a level 1 player that is fascinating to think about. Why? What circumstances come built in that got nothing to do with levels at all? Fun question to ask for making stuff.
Yeah, and I think, like, I will say, with, like, level, like, the first arc, there was a moment where Brennan's like, Ame leaves the sanctuary, witch's apprentice no longer, and I was like, why is she not leveled up then? And I was so angry in the moment, and obviously we find out that there is a literal curse put on her. But, like, in the moment, I was like, let her have her spells then, Brennan.
But no, that's the thing. It's like the game. You got to know when the game and the story fight. It's your job as a creative at the table to decide who wins. And so, like, if it doesn't make any sense that all of a sudden, by walking out of the house, oh, she suddenly just knows more, more. Well, how do you explain that with wizards that need a spell book? You just find something. I love D&D. The leveling mechanic feels. I mean, listen, they created the idea of leveling up. Good idea. Turns out it's really sticky. A lot of people like it. It's so good it has addicted multiple generations of people to massively multiplayer online role-playing games and tabletop and all this stuff. It's a good mechanic, but the story's first. Story wins. Character stories, what players find interesting, what listeners find interesting, those things are infinitely more important than following some rule in the book. The first rule, paragraph 1 of the Dungeon Master's Guide of D&D 5th edition is all these rules are suggestions. Do what feels good, do what is beautiful, do what is fun. That to me makes it not just a game you can buy in a book, but a philosophy of joy and creation that is so much more important than what a table says in a later chapter. And and for us, the joy is making the story work and feeling like the story mechanics and the idea of progression is more mythological and less mathematical that you would expect with the rules as written.
Yeah. Stop being so smart. It's upsetting.
I'm trying.
I get why you're friends with Brennan.
Mostly.
Yeah, there you go. I've actually interviewed the sound mixer for Dropout. So he has told me that he has a special mix that is dedicated just for Brennan because Brennan is the loudest human being on the planet.
Not with me. It's different.
No. Okay.
They behave differently in certain settings.
Interesting.
So yes, because I've obviously watched some Dimension 20 here and there, especially when I had never met some of the cast before and wanted to get familiar with their work. You behave differently in different scenarios. So they got the cameras there, this big space, the dome. When we record, it's a very small room. Everybody is looking at each other. It's in a circle. Right? So you don't feel like you're on stage. You feel like you're in an intimate conversation. And you can hear the tone change when they get up on the mic, just like this. Snow, mud, a big puddle. All these things. They behave differently. So I definitely have to mix for everyone for certain things. And, we're considering hiring a team of extra editors to take out all the ums. But other than that, no, you listen to the show, Brendan's much quieter than he is in the dome. Very interesting.
That's so fascinating. That's so interesting. Yeah, that's so good. I'm also, so obviously Abria and I, full blood feud, nemesis, everything else.
She told me not to do this.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. She's very, very mean to me. But we've discussed
the things she says in private.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, I'm just happy she's talking about me. But we've discussed to counterbalance a beautiful bromance that I think is burgeoning here, and obviously started at Gen Con. How are we feeling about that? Still feeling good? That we're on the right track?
Still feeling very good.
Yeah.
I would like to say that I can mediate between you and help sort of a Good Friday agreement between the two groups, but I'm honestly hearing. Watching what she does to the mannequin she's made of you when she needs to blow off steam, I don't know if there's a middle ground that can be found. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
But our mannequin budget is high,
Yeah,
so.
that's what the Patreon goes to exclusively. It's mannequins. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because she goes through 3 or 4 a day.
That's fair. Yeah, speaking of the Patreon, had to be wild to be like, hey, what's up? 30,000 people would like to hop onto this little train and listen to this. What was that like when it launched? I'm sure you were expecting it to go well because you have, like I said, 4 of the most talented people imaginable as the public facing, and then obviously you as well, private facing. But I can't imagine you were like, we're gonna crush this one. We're gonna set some records on this one.
I used to work at Kickstarter. I have launched thousands of projects. This Worlds Beyond Number is my 15th attempt at launching a successful podcast. I've had a lot of day ones. I've had a lot of projects. I had correctly predicted our week 1 numbers down to, I think, a margin of 3%. But that does not describe the emotional roller coaster that it puts you on. Like, you can academically know, you can understand, you think you get it. Oh, these are the average conversion numbers for X. This is the average traffic pattern for Y. Given these people, we should expect this amount of. No, nothing, no spreadsheet, no experience can prepare you for that many people rushing to your house to say, okay, play. Yeah. Let's hear it. Yeah, go. Yeah. The thing that you said you're giving? Yeah, come on, quick. It's sublime because it is a perfect mix of terror and joy. And you feel that you are being thrown around and buffeted by these very large forces. I mean, to sum up, I'm just unbelievably grateful. But that's the thing. It's like I was the first one to run there. I get it. Like, I'm not surprised by it because I would have been there on the first second of the first hour of the first day. Like, all my projects, I look at them and I will only pursue them if there's something in it that sparks joy in me that I will run towards it. And you hope that if you feel that way, others will also feel that. It's a very build it and they will come thing, Yeah. You learn to sort of feel like, oh, if this inspires that sort of electricity in me, then others must. And sometimes, Jordan, many times, I have been so wrong. So wrong. But even though it's not always right, it's still the best measure. So I felt the juice. I had the electricity in my guts. I knew that we had lightning in a bottle here. And to see so many other people agree and rush towards it is indescribable. It's great.
Yeah.
It makes you feel not alone.
Yeah. Yes. Good God, do I feel that? Every time I'm doing an interview feeling. And I'm like, does anyone want this? And then people are like, this is great. I'm like, oh, thank God people like this too.
I am not alone in this world. Yeah. There are other minds. There are other people who are in love with the same things I love. It is a holy thing to feel.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things that you love, would you like to respond to the very, very inappropriate comments that Brian Flaherty from Many Sided Media made about your audio editing skills or whatever it was? I believe we threatened your life in the time that I interviewed him. If you want to continue the beef, because obviously podcast worlds need more beef.
Who? I don't know her.
Oh, absolutely perfect. All right. Well, thoughts on things you do know then.
Brian?
No, it's too late. It's gone.
No, listen to me. Brian is editing the 2 interludes that are dropping this month.
Oh, that's delightful. He's so kind and wonderful as well.
We'll find out.
Yeah. He probably. You'll see. Yeah. Things you do know then. Soupgate. Thoughts on it? Who was right? Who was wrong?
I'm a disgusting fucking freak. I think you should be able to eat anything you want, any way you want it. I will have spaghetti for breakfast. I think in like putting food rules on others is a sin, and I'm disgusted at my colleagues that they would try to do that to my friends.
That's very fair. It was truly one of the most delightful things I've ever listened to. Of just like it was one of the ones where I was behind, and I knew like people had been like, "Hey, you got to listen to this episode," and so like I finally got to it, and I was like, "Oh, they're not going to talk about the episode at all."
No, listen. Sometimes it happens. Yeah. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Knock on the door and yell at them? Have less fun?
No, it was perfect. Did people get mad in the Patreon comments when
people get Jordan? You know this. People get mad about everything.
Yeah. I interviewed Sam Reich once, and I pitched that he should hire me like twice during the interview, and people have left comments like, "I wish the whole interview wasn't you trying to get a job." And it's like, I made 2 jokes about it, and he laughed. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Also, just stop watching then. Like, Soupgate was truly one of my favorite things. I would say like. Had Soupgate happened with the finale, might have been upset. But like, it was one of those episodes where I was like, yeah, I would like to know more, but like, this is also just as fun.
I love that we do a chat show. I mean, all my shows do chat shows. They're fun to make. It's fun to talk about having fun with your friends. It's a blast. But also, like, the show should stand also on its own. You should be able to enjoy the show without any chat back, and it still be fun. Yeah, I get worried. For no reason. We've never done this. But as a producer, one of my concerns is always like, I don't want us to I don't want us to give something in the fireside chats that without it would make the show bad. You know?
Yeah.
It just feels because we're all really proud that the main show is free. We're all really proud of that. That's the way it was been designed from the beginning. We really want that to continue, and there's no danger of that not continuing.
Right.
But it's like we love it. We don't want it to go away, and we want people to have a good time, even if it's for free. Now, if you like that and you want to step up, I would imagine anyone who's made it this far into the interview is already a patron of Worlds Beyond Number. I don't know
Probably.
who I'm pitching to. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us at the fireside.
Yeah, a hoo-hoo. It is always wild to me, like, when, because there will be people that, I'll post a video about Worlds Beyond Number, and I'm like, what? It's the best thing I've ever listened to. And people be like, where's it available? And I'm like, how have you made it to my channel? And like, you don't know how to, like, you're not listening to this already. Like, it's always so shocking to me that I'm just like, what? Yeah.
Every day I get a DM on Patreon from someone who's just never signed up for a podcast before, and I handhold them through the process and do what you can.
Yeah. Look, God bless you, because it's truly a nightmare. I sometimes do sponsored content on TikTok. Someone will send me like a dumb little product. Because look, if I can get free stuff, I'm gonna get free stuff. I'll make a dumb video about it.
You mean great, innovative products?
Yes, absolutely. The wonderful water pick that I got from Colossus, I think is the brand. Anyway, someone will be like, "How do I order this?" And like, there's a link. Like, it's above my name. Like, it says sponsored content and then like shop here. I'm like, I can't do any more for you. Like, that's the best I can do.
I respect the human instinct to immediately reach out to the first person you see and ask them the top thing on your mind at that moment.
Yeah.
But it's dumb, but it's very human. And these days, honestly, like, give me the dumb, stupid, wrong humanity rather than the dumb, stupid, wrong machine garbage.
That's very fair. Oh man. Hey, speaking,
you are not dumb and stupid if you've never listened to podcasts before. You're actually really cool, and you'd be even cooler if you started listening to podcasts.
Now is the perfect time to get in on it. I hear they're really gonna start getting popular soon.
I got a new show coming out called Serial.
Yeah, very innovative.
What if crime was true?
Ooh,
I'm workshopping it.
Yeah. And sponsored by Mattress Company, or whatever it is at any given point. This has been so delightful.
Here, I just came up with an idea for a company. We send you a new mattress every week.
Perfect. Yeah.
So it's Blue Apron for mattresses.
I love that.
Now you have to unpack it and install it, and then throw out the old mattress, which will go bad. It starts to stink.
So that's why they have to keep the subscription service going.
Yeah, it's Juicero for mattresses.
That's brilliant. I love that. Yeah.
Do the kids know about Juicero anymore, or has that been lost too?
It's been lost, for sure. The kids don't know anything.
You got to educate the kids about Juicero.
I'll do my best. Hey, speaking of pitching jobs, I'm just gonna do this one. Yeah, you said you wanted more video content. What if you flew me out to camp and I reported on camp and did some TikTok videos?
You could clean my Juicero.
Yeah, I'm available. Look, I'm available to do all your TikTok content anytime you want it. We'll chat offline.
This would just be keeping our expensive subscription-based juice machine clean.
Yes,
but the position is open.
Great. Yeah, that's fine. I'll get Quip, that's the toothbrush, right? I'll get the Quip toothbrush subscription to clean the Juicero.
Now, see, that's brand synergy. You've got the goods.
We got this. Taylor, this has been so delightful.
Thank you.
We didn't even touch on Arc 2, which is so that means you have to come back and talk to me again.
I'll talk to you anytime.
Yeah, I cannot stop raving about this podcast.
Please don't.
Yeah, it's simply too good. As you mentioned, we've got our month off, September month off of interlude content. Back in October for Arc 4. Obviously no spoilers, but Arc 4, is it good?
Arc 4. It's good. It's different. This is think about, we talk about Miyazaki all the time when we talk about the show publicly, even with ourselves. We're always referencing different Miyazaki movies. Like a lot of Miyazaki movies, they start off very cute. Think about Howl's Moving Castle. Fun, beautiful, neat little coal spirits. And then war. And we are The Wizard, the Witch, and the Wild One takes place in a world at war. Behind everything that's been going on from the first episodes, the first thing we see is an attack on where Suvi's family is in the Citadel. And that war is not going away. In fact, it's getting worse. And if you've listened to Arc 3, you know that our characters are being drawn towards it. And so it is going, the tone of Arc 4 is very different. There's more danger than we've ever shown. There's a great deal of violence and some of the most terrifying and beautiful and suspenseful world building I've ever seen.
Can't wait. Look, I don't want to jump back to it, but speaking of coal spirits, God damn it, Brennan, what's your problem? Leave the coal spirits alone. Don't turn them into diamonds and then die. That's so mean. He was so wonderful.
What happens to a spirit who expends themselves in the world? I don't know. The metaphysics are complicated.
Yeah.
Toph maybe is back in the spirit. We don't know.
Yeah. I was not expecting to get emotionally wrecked by Toph the coal spirit.
He can do it. Let me tell you, this guy, we just spent 3 seasons making you fall in love with hundreds of characters. And now it's time to pay the piper.
Yeah. Look, just tell me the fox is okay. You don't have to tell me, but God damn it, Brennan, you come for the fox. The internet will come for you.
Jordan, I cannot tell you the fox is okay.
Brennan, no. All right. Well, on that amazingly terrifying note, Taylor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look, if people want to follow you, where can they find you on the internet?
I'm Taylor.biz everywhere.
Yeah. And then if they wanted to follow Worlds Beyond Number, it's Worlds
Just
Beyond
Google
Number.
It. It's Worlds Beyond Number, baby. Follow us on social, sure, but the important thing is that you subscribe to the podcast.
Yes. Learn how to listen to a podcast and subscribe.
It's easy.
You can do it. Amazing. Taylor, thank you so much. I don't know how to interview, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.
I'll just go down.